What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the MPL Fort Podcast. I'm your host, Leon. And today we got a special live edition. Live edition. Let me bring my boy on, the modified
Yo,
gentleman. What's going on? We got a
what is the
special live
deal?
edition. Waiting on KP and Renee to come in here. I don't know where they at. Black
It's a
folks.
pleasure.
Black folks.
Nah, don't do them like that. Don't do them like that.
No, I got to. Much junk they talk. I got to. What's up, Aunt Miriam? What's going on? Make sure while I'm waiting on them, make sure you go to the impel4merch.com. That's impel4merch.com. All things Impel Forward merch. And Renee is about to enter the studio, impel4merch.com. Make sure y'all grab something. What's going on, Renee? Oh, they coming in. They coming in back to back.
I mean, we're on time though.
What's going on?
What up?
What's up, KP? Mr. Pierre.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on? What's going on?
Are we live?
Yes, we are live.
It's
Yes.
been a minute.
Hey, y'all,
It's been a minute.
see how y'all do. Y'all won't be late for your corporate jobs.
I'm not late. It's 8:00.
What time?
Listen, man. I
Ain't
had
that
to
too?
set the ambiance because you won't let us smoke at the shop.
Nah,
You won't let us smoke at. You won't let us
At
smoke
studio?
in the studio. So I had to set the ambiance, man.
Yeah.
I plead the fifth on the timeliness.
Yeah, you still what's the word? Recuperating. Yeah, that's it.
Who is that?
Renee.
Mhm.
You know, she had a long weekend.
All right, y'all gonna have to excuse me a second, man.
Yeah. Go ahead. We gonna go ahead and get started. Yo, what's going on, y'all? We're glad that y'all are tuning in to the MPL Fort podcast. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe to the MPL Fort podcast. Make sure you go copy some merch from impel4merch.com. That's impel4merch.com. We're gonna jump into it, man. We're gonna talk about Tylenol links to autism.
You didn't let me tell him to grab 2, 3, or 10.
Oh, well, tell them to grab 2, 2, or 3.
Grab 2, 3, or 10.
2, 3, or 10 items. Go ahead, impel4merch.com. 2, 3, or 10. So we're gonna talk about Tylenol links to autism.
I saw that.
Van Jones comments. Nick, is that dude name pronounced Fuentes?
Fuentes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and he speaks against Republicans. I don't know what he's talking about, but anyway, we're gonna talk about that. And also we're gonna talk about a couple of other things. Of course, Jasmine Crockett. Sometimes I think we talk too much because I felt like she gave people an idea in that statement she made. So
yeah,
what statement she made? I missed it.
That's just how I think.
We'll get to it, I guess. I didn't hear what your statement she made.
I'm not sure I'm gonna pull that.
To it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna pull that clip up because it has because it has some other things on there in the background. So I had got a flag before. They didn't penalize me for it, but I knew what it was about. But so
probably music or something playing in the background or something.
It wasn't music. It was just where it came from. So anyway, let's
speed on that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh, hold on. Good evening, Miriam. Love that.
Yeah. So let's talk about let's talk about this right here. Let's talk about this. I'm gonna pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
The Trump administration. They're talking about autism. Tylenol links to autism with pregnant mothers.
Mm-hmm. I think they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out is there some sort of link to Tylenol and autism?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that, Renee?
Listen, I have no kids, so I don't want people to come for me. And you ain't got no kids, so why are you saying anything?
Right.
I'm just saying that Tylenol is one of the things. First of all, back context, I don't always agree with RFK Jr., this man. But I do know that or recall that Tylenol is one of the only things I guess you can take while being pregnant, because I don't think you can take like Advil, naproxen, all of those type of things. Tylenol was supposed to be the most, I guess, harmless. It's supposed to help with the pain, but it's less harmful than all of the other, I guess, medicines. That's what I've been told. I don't know.
It does affect your liver if you take too much of it, though. But I don't see who would be taking so much Tylenol like that. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends. Like if you're pregnant and you're in pain, right? And the only thing the doctor says that you can take is Tylenol because they can't give you like, any other, other medicines or something that they would prescribe somebody that's not pregnant, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna be really honest with you.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on it, KP?
Sometimes I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole down the conspiracy theories type of deal, and because you never know what this Trump administration and their angling. Everything is always about capitalism, petty get back, or angling for something down the road. And this could stem from Tylenol not building bear whomever it probably didn't bend the knee to Trump. And they're looking a way to put them onto the platform and crash their stock, crash their business. It could be some of that going in the background. I have no knowledge of that, but just knowing how this administration works is all about pay for play and who they can shake down. And so why is the emphasis on Tylenol? I don't know, because my first thing because I don't trust nothing coming out of this administration. I would need to see some scientific data, which you're never going to see, because Tylenol ain't the only thing that have acetaminophen. How you say that?
Acetaminophen.
Yes, there you go.
Acetaminophen.
The GED section.
The GED section. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Leon, to be honest with you, I just don't trust anything coming out of this administration simply because the person that's running it and the sycophants that are underneath him and they're getting rid of all the scientists. They're getting rid of data. They're getting rid of anything that can be measured and quantified to give us a reasonable thought process on how to process information that is coming out. Is there data behind it? And I don't see any data.
I would agree with KP. I'm data driven. I like statistics. I like, because I feel like if it was linked, they've been researching autism for a while now, right?
Yeah.
And they've been trying to link, this disease that's, as we're seeing that's happening most recent, especially in children, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if Tylenol or any substance that is built in or, made in Tylenol, they would be able to link it. It would have been, this is something that they would have looked at a long time ago, right? And been able to find a cure. I'm a firm believer in focus groups, right? So taking kids that are of age, older, taking kids of all age groups, right? That have some sort of autism, because everybody's autism is different levels, right?
Right.
And seeing and maybe starting there, but he just comes up with. It's hard to believe him and this whole, his whole cabinet, Trump's, because they just come out with such ludicrous things, like him in fast food, and then you hear that he's on the plane with Trump and he's eating McDonald's. It's just, it's so hard for me to take this administration so serious right now. And they know, autism is huge right now, right? So now it's a distraction from the whole, the Epstein files and Jimmy Kimmel and how they're trying to, take away free speech. It's every day, it's something new.
But they said autism diagnosis have tripled in the past 2 decades.
Yeah, I brought that up.
Remember, but then it says the use of acetaminophen has not, remaining largely steady over that time. So
that is the key. That is the key. It's key that you picked that out of that article, because that's actually key. It's actually tripled, but the use has not. So is it Tylenol? Is it you know what I mean? Is it really Tylenol, or is it the food lobbyists that are actually that they're in control of? Actually, what if what's causing autism is actually in the food? Because that's the only thing that has changed in the last 30 years.
It's a combination of stuff.
The way the food is being processed.
Mm-hmm. So you made a great point, KP. So I was gonna get to that because even if this may not be true, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of this Tylenol thing. It's a lot of food that the FDA has approved over the years that has a lot of things in it that shouldn't be in it.
Shouldn't be in it.
Then so then I beg to differ of why does food look different, taste different from back when we were growing up?
Oh, okay.
So if they're saying autism started, a long time ago and it's in the food, and of course within the Black community, we never really, took that's something that we didn't really hone in on, right? Because it was always just give him medicine. The kid is bad. Give him some medicine and it'll, slow him down or, put him in a different train of thought. But if the food has changed throughout the years and it's gotten, worse, right? As people say now with the whole red dye that we didn't know about, is that really the issue?
I mean, it's hard to say because I would say that autism spiked. Can you guys hear me? It looks like y'all went out.
Yeah.
No.
Autism. Okay, autism spike as the study saying. Let's just say from 30 years ago. 30 years ago, hopefully, I think none of us was in high school. But if we think back to when we were in elementary and junior high, they had kids eating crayons. Okay. Was that autism as well? Because the food from when I was in elementary and going to junior high is not the same food. And when I was 30 and 40 years old, that's not the same food.
Right.
It's not the same ingredients. So is it that these kids was misdiagnosed when we were in the 70s, late 70s and 80s? Were those kids misdiagnosed because they didn't know? Because I
feel like they were. And correct me if I'm wrong, what was the main medicine that you heard giving out during our age group for kids that they said didn't listen, didn't want to sit down, were, too bad in school? You guys remember?
No. Well, it wasn't when I was in school. Ritalin wasn't in there. They had this thing. It was it was called BELT. It was,
and then it moved to
that was the medicine we got.
And then it moved to Ritalin. Right? Then it moved to Ritalin, right? Ritalin was one of the main things that they would try to give your kids, and then a lot of parents, they would either give it to their kids, or it would put their kids in a transient state, right?
It would. I coached some kids that was in it, that was on that particular drug that you're talking about. And I coached 11, 12-year-old football kids. And it got to the point to where I knew when a kid was either on it or not on it. Because when he was on it, he was spaced out. I couldn't tell him. I could talk to him and he's like, yeah, just if the aliens want to come and do it, then let them do it. When he's not on it, I can deal with him better because that is just youthful exuberance. And so I would tell the parents, do not, I say on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, do not give him that medicine. The problem is he acted out in school. But in football practice, I needed his attention and his awareness. And if he's on that medicine, I wasn't going to get anything out of the kid. So it was a dynamic that a parent had to play with. They had to play with the doses, when to give it, when not to give it, And I just think that that's all unfortunate.
Yeah. Darius Bennerman said the diagnosis of autism has tripled. Like something, I guess, referring to what y'all said earlier, kids had autism prior to 20 years ago undiagnosed. So
that's
what I was thinking. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
We have, is it Maurice? Maurice is here.
Yeah, let's welcome to the stage, Maurice. What's going on?
What are your thoughts?
Maurice?
What's good? It's good to see y'all again. It's been a minute. But Leon, we talked about the show this evening, and I told him, I said, I'm nervous, man. I said, I find myself having a limited range in a bunch of different things. And so I find, it's probably best for me to like pick my spots.
No, that's okay.
Because I think it's really easy. I will say this though, for me personally, like I think it's easy. It's a wise thing sometimes to know where your strengths are and where they're not. But I think what some people do though, they'll fill in the gaps what they don't know with what they think, and they communicate what they think with so much passion and vigor that you'll be like convinced it's facts when it's like, nah, this person is just pulling this out of somewhere, out of their own feelings. So I appreciate even KP saying, "What's up, man? Good to see you again."
What's going on?
I appreciate him saying, I ain't just gonna lie. I got a little bit of conspiracy theory because I think some of us don't recognize when we're leaning in that direction, right? So we think I'm just giving these facts out, when in reality, like you might need to have a little more, a little more. Not you, but we as people.
Yeah.
It would serve us well to know like when to kind of like jump in and out. Like one of my mentors once said. He said the wise man once said nothing at all.
That's very true. And that's why one of the things that we brought up, like, is this, what they're saying, is it really true? Is it not? There's not a lot of data provided. I know it's not, it's something that they're working on. But I'm just going off of talking based on my experience growing up as a child, dealing with, having schoolmates that I'm just to me, he was bad. Right, he was jumping on the tables and all this other stuff, and then the next day he was just like
spaced out. Yeah,
like, are you okay?
I've seen some. So I used to teach a little bit, in the public school system, and I remember just so many kids I knew who had IEPs, and just the fact that has grown exponentially, right?
Right.
But some of that also has to do with so I think it's two things. And again, I'll probably gonna get eaten alive for this, but I'm gonna say it. I think there's a overextension of the pharmaceutical state. Too much, recommendations of
100%
various drugs, right? But I also think we lived in a time, at one point in our culture, where we didn't know how to rightly handle conversations related to mental health and neurodivergence. And so, in one sense, you have the over dependence on drug intervention. Medical intervention, or you mean drug intervention, and then on the other end, we also have people who have various issues, mental health issues that were unaddressed. And so the thing that addressed the mental health issues we don't even know to call it mental health issues would be what KP said, BELT, like 5 doses a day, and that's why many people. That's why. But if you think about that though, I think. I wouldn't say it's a cause, but a correlating thing is that many of those same kids who received, a high dosage of the BELT are now reporting high rates of trauma when they were kids, right? Because we didn't know how to handle.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember the school nurse coming around with her cart, right? And because if your kids took medicine, then they were, required to give it to the nurse to make sure the nurses gave it to you, after your lunch or whatever. I remember them with their little cart calling people out in class and, with the little white cups, and they're just like, take your medicine. So there's no way, like KP, there was no way.
You was in high school in the 2000s?
I'm not telling my age. I'm talking about, listen.
You see this? You see what he's doing? No.
I remember in elementary school.
I'm trying to make sure the audience knows.
No, I just
was this the mid-90s, which I doubt.
Yeah. Anyways, it was elementary school. I remember in middle school, the lady with the cart. So, when you were you're teaching the kids and you would, football, and you would say, oh, I can't on medicine. They've already been instructed by the parent that you need to give, little Jimmy needs his medicine by 1.
Right.
That's so wrong. That's kids are cruel too. I could see that just being that on top of having autism and getting called out in front of everybody to receive your medication, man, that's just God. And kids are extra cruel. So Lord, it
was around the same time that they were handing out vitamins. I don't know if you guys, I'm from Oregon, so I'm just throw that out there. So
I thought that it was a privilege if your parents gave you vitamins. That means they actually.
Well, the school gave us vitamins every day.
Oh well, the school had to love you. Remember, I went to school in the South, Jim Crow.
Y'all school gave y'all vitamins.
Yeah.
She went to the northern school, remember, where we would escape
all right,
and be free.
she's-
So they
she's
actually
from Oregon.
loved us.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in school, we had, my dad used to, we do before we go to school, but my dad would always buy us the Flintstone vitamins. I remember, man, that joint, it changed my life when my dad brought home some gummy Flintstone vitamins. I didn't know it wasn't candy.
That was an upgrade, huh? Nice.
I was pounding them thinking it was a gummy candy. I'm overdosing on Flintstone vitamins. Lord.
So Larry, what do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh,
Autism?
let me check. Can y'all hear me? Because I'm having technical difficulties. You hear me good?
Yeah, you got a 3-second delay though.
Oh, dang.
But I actually, did you, as far as your the Tylenol, the autism link, what are your thoughts on it?
And I think it's a combination of all kind of stuff, man. Just the environmental impact that we have on our nervous system is crazy. The food, the medicine, like over immunizations, over everything, a lot of that stuff just does not gel together. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a immunologist or whatever they want to call it. I can't tell you what it is, what it isn't. But I do have a child with special needs who has autism, and we've been dealing with that ever since he was about 5 when he got diagnosed. But I've come in contact with so many other kids in that community with autism that are on the spectrum, and it's a wide range, man, between low functioning and high functioning. Like you just never know what you're gonna get because that spectrum is so vast. But you just can't, pin it down to this is what causes it, that what causes it. It's all of it. It's the combination. It's pollution from the cars.
It could be the water. Remember the show Aaron Brockovich? That was real, right?
Right.
Where the water was the cause of the town people, getting cancer and all these different illnesses, but no one, took it that far to even have it tested, in areas in which we grew up in. We were, the satellites, the poles, and, we were born by all of those things, right?
And the thing is, how could lead pipes and lead paint and all the toxins that's in the air get a break and Tylenol catch a stray? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
How it bypass all of those carcinogens that's in the air already that may be causing. Back then, what's it called? Chinese drywall? It could be well, you can call it that, but I mean, that's what it's called. That's what it's called. No, I get that, but I'm just saying that how we bypass all those things and how we bypass. Why is it always predominantly, there are some white little boys that had autism, but why is it always black boys and very few black girls, very few white girls that have that's been diagnosed as autism? I'm talking about by and large as a whole. It's always obviously the black kid is driving that number, but the black girl is not in that number. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm curious. Me having ADHD diagnosed.
That's so you got that's what you got?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
You made it like, dang, you finally got diagnosed.
I've been breathing the same air you've been breathing.
Right. I'm wondering, when you bring up that, little boys with autism, girls, and why don't they have it or whatever. I'm curious to see the study of black women, black girls on up, babies, whatever. I guess the data on how many are, diagnosed with ADHD versus autism. Is there, is it balanced? Right. Is it, I think that would tell a story as well.
Yeah, so they didn't provide any type of data. This administration is not going to provide data. Matter of fact, they are more interested in destroying data.
Yeah, they don't do homework.
I'm not going to talk as much, man, because it seems like my computer is freezing up. Is it freezing up, guys?
You good?
You good?
But did it freeze up while I was talking?
It's like freeze a little bit.
It jumped, but we still can hear you talking.
Oh, okay.
It's all that smoke you putting in there.
No, man, I think it's the chemtrails that's over the house.
They're gonna charge us extra for the chemtrails. They're gonna charge us extra.
Well, yeah, they taking it out on our kids. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just this autism thing. It's sometimes it can be, like I said, without seeing the numbers. I sometimes I think some of it is little black boys are misdiagnosed. Some of that stuff is just could be youthful exuberance. And the kid's just bouncing off the wall, and you don't know how to deal with him because he doesn't look like the kid at your house. So therefore, he's a troublemaker. Send him to the principal. When really and truly, Miss Mary Steele would have had that same kid, and she would have known what to tell him to calm him down right then and right there.
Well,
so it has a lot of that element that Dr. Umar talks about, that you sending your kids to be educated by a suppressor. Those are some of the repercussions.
But what about the ones who are speechless, who don't talk? Because I have about 6 or 7 cousins. Well, I have a nephew. He's one. And the other one are cousins, little cousins. All
well, your 1-year-old cousin just could have. Is it a boy?
All them boys.
He could just be delayed in his speech. So
all of them. It's about 6 or 7 of them.
Like, it happens a lot with boys because they don't mature as faster. I follow a lot of
that is true.
Where they felt like their kids had some sort of that they were autistic, right, or somewhat on the spectrum of something. And they would hire these, different doctors and coaches and everything, and they would tell them, no, they're just delayed in their speech. Now, they're 4 and 5, and they're speaking full sentences, and they're able to, communicate and everything. So a lot of times it's just they're just delayed in their speech.
See, some of that also plays into. I got this book called The Mislabeled Child, pretty thick book. And it just also goes into the effects of how you got to learn how your child's style of learning. And that also flies under the radar and gets labeled as, oh, that's an autistic child. And it's just like that child does not learn like everybody else learns, So yeah, there is what KP was saying earlier. There is a lot of misdiagnosis going on because ADHD is basically like I said earlier, that spectrum is so wild. But now you're trying to figure out, is it a behavioral thing? Is it an academic thing? Is it a cognitive thing? Is it executive functioning? Like there's so many different things to dive into. But to just say, oh, it's because of Tylenol, that's absurd. You know what I mean? Like that's wild.
It's absurd crazy. Without any data behind it.
Yeah, right. It's just wild.
I think you're right, Larry.
Yeah, I agree, man. I just did a quick. I just did a quick Google search. Just talking about like different ethnic groups as it pertains to autism diagnosis, and here's some somewhat up to date information. But it says regarding African Americans, 36.6 African American children in the age of 8 and by 8 years old per 1,000 are diagnosed with autism. Hispanic 33 per 1,000 of children, but white children, it says non-Hispanic white, 27.7 per 1,000 children among 8-year-olds. But ironically, I mean, the largest group with these diagnoses will be Asian or Pacific Islander. That's 38.2% per 1,000, and then underneath them would be American Indian or Alaska Native. They're 37.5 children per 1,000 children, and many other places. And then in terms of like what ages they're diagnosed and whatnot, it's kind of like KP said, with the African American children, it says the higher rates of intellectual disability these children often receive a later diagnosis than others within their age demographic. So it's interesting to think like
that's a resource thing.
Yeah, our anecdotal experiences can be one thing, but I'd be curious in terms of how those different groups and in sociological, like familial, cultural issues contribute to it. But it is interesting to see how, I think if we do the eye test, most people would assume black children have us the most, but I'm thinking of just the general demographics of where these people who have the higher concentrations live and how they've been forced to live over time in this country. So it's just an interesting thing.
The highest level per 1,000 is what two groups? Asians and Native American.
Yep, it says the Asian Americans or Pacific Islanders, 38.2% per 1,000, and then Asian, Asian will be 37.5.
That's an American
Jeez
study.
Christ, I have not seen. Well, first of all, it's not
It's
me.
from the
There's a
CDC.
smaller sample size in America, right? They don't have 40 million people like we have. And
Yeah, but this is in the U.S. per the CDC.
No. I get that. I'm just sussing this out. As you're giving this information, I'm just sussing it out. Like, they're the per capita of how many people that are here. Like I said, they don't have 40 million people like we have, right? And so, how in the world? I'm just sussing this out. How are they getting it at an extreme at a higher rate than everybody? The Asians, I don't know how to even categorize that. That's just, I don't know. I'm just sussing this out in real time. I can't. I don't know. I need to think about that. Like, why is that? Is it something that Lex said? Is it or is it? Oh, God, you just never know with these people, man. That's over again. Man. They're trying to eliminate these people. They just ain't stopped trying to get rid of these people, man.
That's something for you to read up on, KP.
It's a trail of tears, man.
Yeah, I'm still over here trying to figure out like what what do we have? Like, what are we sharing? What are we doing?
And I would like to see how we compare to the other developed countries. That will be interesting. How do we compare to other developed countries like a Swedish or Sweden, or you know what I mean? How are they doing in Europe? Or does the Asian population mirror the Asian population here?
Yeah, or countries where healthcare is free.
Y'all know who got?
Because I mean, it comes down to where we have like a good quality of life. You know what I'm saying? Like the quality of.
That's why I say something like Sweden, or but then again, that's the whites are not at a higher rate. So
like Europe, Canada. I'm curious in some of those countries where healthcare is free, right? To see those statistics there, because a lot of times we're misdiagnosed, right? Because we don't have the resources to go to the doctor. Correct. Right? Yep. And that can be an issue too. Or also we're going to the doctor and we're not receiving the best of care. True. Right? So a lot of times it's here, take this medicine, right? If you don't want to deal with your kid, I have some medicine that'll make them, make them better or easier to deal with. Or, all we want to hear is fix my kid, right? What can we do to fix my kid? Here's the medicine, right? We don't ask questions. Back then, there wasn't a lot of questions asked. We didn't demand a lot of answers, or, we didn't ask for side effects or different things. It was, I want my kid to be better, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm curious as to those numbers over in, those countries where healthcare was free or has been free, and see are the numbers the same? And if they are similar, close to, right? Right. And then I want to know, because, the food is supposed to be better over in Europe. They have they don't have the red dye and a lot of those, a lot of those things that are approved in the US, right? So if the numbers are a little bit different, I would just be curious to see then. But again, they've been studying autism for a while. I'm sure they've had, tested these different theories. So I don't know. Tylenol seems too easy.
That's why I'm saying Tylenol catching a stray.
They just trying to take the heat off of vaccines. That's what that is.
Who is Procter and Gamble? Is that Tylenol? Or
it's either that or Bayer, one of them. One of them are the producers of it, man. That's why we need a fact check. Mad? We need an information person on here when we talking.
Yeah, who made that man mad at Procter and Gamble?
Well, let's move on to this to the next subject. KP, you got to do more research on the Asian autism Asians. You're trying to figure out, how they.
I'm gonna jump right on that. Yeah, right at the top of the list. Yeah, the Native American and the Asians. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Darius said bear is aspirin.
Aspirin's not a company. What's the company?
Yeah.
They
They're
try to take the
Bayer.
heat off the
Huh?
vaccine.
Johnson and Johnson.
Shit,
Johnson and
Bear
Johnson
Bear
makes
is aspirin. He's just saying that's what Bear is.
Oh yeah. I get what he's saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bear's
yeah.
aspirin. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not. That doesn't have that.
Oh no, it doesn't. They
And
don't own it anymore. It's
And
owned by
Bear's
Kenvue.
yeah, he's right. DW's right. Huh? What'd you say, Renee? I'm pretty sure you
Tylenol
got.
is Tylenol is owned by Kenvue, a separate company that was spun off from Johnson and Johnson.
Ah,
Oh, they might say it all right there. They might say it.
I mean, they probably broke away from the whole, baby powder situation.
Right.
talcum baby powder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, moving on. So we're gonna talk about this Van Jones. He came out with some comments. He said that Charlie Kirk DM'd him before his murder, and some comments that he shared. I think was it on CNN, Renee?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's here it goes. Charlie Kirk DM'd me before he was murdered. Here's what he said. The day before he was horrifically murdered, Charlie Kirk sent me a direct message on X. He and I had been sparring publicly over the killing of the Ukrainian refugee and its relationship to race. He said the gruesome killing of a white woman by a black man was motivated solely by anti-white hatred. I denounced those comments on CNN as unfounded. He went on TV and denounced my denunciation. Then he unleashed a fire hose of tweets challenging my argument. Somewhere he said he threatened him. I'm trying to
Allegedly.
Oh, there you go. Kirk's pushback sparked an online torrent of racist death threats against me, the likes of which I have rarely seen. That's allegedly. We don't know if that's true or not.
Well, if we're gonna know,
Yeah,
if we're gonna believe,
I think that was.
we're gonna. No, if you sure that was, he said Kirk pushback sparked an online. Okay, if it was online, torrent of racist threats against me, to the likes of which I've rarely seen. So
we don't know where they came from.
But then he said he was a good person.
Yeah.
I mean.
So he had some people saying that
Van's a leak.
Like it says Van goes back and forth. He don't know which side he wants to be on.
He's definitely a flip flopper. I do not like Van Jones, man. I did during the Obama administration. I thought he was a good brother that we needed, that it was a good voice. I thought he spoke truth to power. And I thought that he was a voice for us on these panels. But as the first...
He went out.
Cut out.
Yeah, that's my internet. I think I need a booster for out here on this patio. But I just man, the hell with Van Jones. How about that?
What are your thoughts on it, Renee? The whole situation.
Opportunist.
Yes, opportunist. I definitely agree with KP. I agree with Sunny, who I guess where the post originated that I found on that. I know it seemed old, but it dated back from 2021 when he made those comments until now, where he's always flip-flopping in his responses. I just feel like, to me, stand on business.
What you mean by that?
You sit here and you tell us this man who has, talked bad about Black people, right? Black women. Y'all know I'm gonna go hard on Black women, right? Talked about, and I'm not talking
you gotta exclude the Black woman part if you're gonna include Van.
No, I am, because that the Black woman that he talked about could be his aunt, could be his mom, could be his sister.
Well, I can tell you who is not is his wife.
Right. I mean, definitely, but it still can be his mom, his sister, or his aunt, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's
right.
well,
just for the audience.
Okay. So I say that to say, he spoke on Ketanji Jackson, right?
Who did?
Charlie Kirk.
Oh yeah. He said that she
Talking
doesn't
about
have the
Michelle Obama.
brain process, saying that she doesn't have the brain
Yeah.
processing power, along with her and a person who was DAAG, state senator, and vice president.
Right. Talked
said
about all
Michelle
of these
too.
black women, right? And when you look at when you think about this, and I got kind of into a spat with somebody online, right? It was a white guy who, when we say that he, hates black people and he's a part of the division in which he is, and someone's like, well, he only talks about Kajaji and Michelle Obama. And to me, if I look up to these individuals and they look like me and I aspire to be them, these beautiful black educated women, then they're talking about me. Right. So you can't tell me how I feel or how this person makes me feel when someone is talking negatively about somebody that I deem, inspirational. Right. And I see myself in them. So for him to sit there, no matter if he's married to a white woman or not, he's still married to, he still was birthed by a black woman. We see that clearly. Right. We've seen all of the different rhetoric that he said about black people. Let's not get into George Floyd and all of those different things. It's going to take me down a whole another thing, and it's going to make me mad.
But I don't think he looks through the lens of his mom and his auntie. I think he looks through the lens of what Charlie Kirk said. The Bible says a man is to leave his mom and cling to his wife, and I think that's what he has done.
And he definitely does. But to sit here and say that he was a good man.
Listen, all that stuff don't. You know what? I had this conversation with a good friend of mine today, and trying to understand this rally, this Trump rally they had this weekend in memorializing and trying to martyr this young man, and he was like, man, I don't get it. How I was like, listen, man, there was always a line drawn in the sand for me. If you're a Trump supporter on any measure, whether you're black, white, I don't give a shit who you are. You and I are no longer going to be friends if that's your support. And for everybody else that was left, which could be the progressive liberals or the cool people that we thought was cool, the Charlie Kirk death proved that the ones that were left, they were just undercover with it, because those same friends that we have that we thought was cool and this and that, they posting these things about Charlie Kirk was a man of faith. He was a man of God. He was a man of not division or this, they missed me with all that. So now I really have a line in the sand. Like, I don't want none of them. I'm not friends with none of them. You post that Charlie Kirk shit, we ain't friends.
I just deleted somebody yesterday with that.
Yeah, we can't never be friends. We can't never be friends. But the thing is, it's not about being friends. It's more about, this is what America is. America, he was saying everything that they felt. That's the reason why they can ignore him talking about that when he see a black pilot, that he hopes he's qualified.
Right.
That's the inner thing that they have. Sure, Maurice, they hung out with you. You learned NWA songs together. Sure, Larry, you worked with them. They brought you, they brought you a little something that they cooked on the grill the week before. But deep down, that's who they are.
Right. And then they want to cherry pick the conversation. They cherry picked. Well, he didn't really say that about George. I mean, they did bring up the drugs, but it wasn't like he was on his neck. And it's why you don't even have to justify that to me. Why are you even bringing it up?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
That's just who America is. Yes. Your friends that was left hanging on to you after after this Charlie thing, I'm done with them. I don't want to be around them. Don't talk to me. Don't do anything, because I always knew, and y'all get mad at me for being Malcolm X, but I always knew who they was, because you know what I'm doing? I'm not upset. I'm just believing who they told me they were.
So KB, you have friends that support Charlie Kirk?
Not in my face, but I've seen him on Facebook posting these rituals, posting these things about him being a man of God. I've been wanting to jump in on it so bad, but I know it's not gonna do any. No, don't break friendship over politics. Shit, I don't know why not. Would you keep a friend over politics?
Let me ask Maurice, because Maurice always comes with.
I don't think this is politics. This
no,
politics.
It's not politics. It's this evangelical bullshit that they mask behind
Hey, simmer down with the with the cuss words.
That ain't a cuss word.
Hey, when you put bull in
You
front
know
of
the
it,
origins of bull.
listen, when you put bull in front of it, it makes it that much harder.
Let me ask Maurice, because I remember clearly the last time he was here, and I always appreciate your words and how you speak. And we talked about loving thy neighbor, right? God said, love thy neighbor.
Can I say hell no?
As you love yourself, right?
Nah, that looks.
As a Christian,
hold on, KP.
Hold on, KP. Let me give.
I'm sorry, Renee. I'm just the hell.
I know, but no. Let me give
We're
Maurice
the only ones abiding by the Bible, not them.
Man, will you be quiet?
I know, but let me give Maurice his flowers because I want him to know that I remember.
Oh, my bad, Renee.
I remember, some of the things that he said, and remember I said I'm still working on that, right? And we talked about, hatred in the community, and I think we discussed politics and, Christianity and why people go to church and, things that you learned, right? And one of the biggest things was loving thy neighbor, right? We talked about that. And so, not saying that you're going to turn a blind eye to some crazy stuff, right? But I would like to get your feedback on this situation since it kind of deals with, of course, it's politics, right? Because he was part of MAGA, and then people love him because he's a child of God and he's a Christian and he's all these things. And we're supposed to, again, love thy neighbor, right? How do you look past things that are hurtful to you to be able to stay in that walk, right?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I appreciate, KP as usual, coming with the thunder.
I love KP. I look forward to him.
What I think is so for one, let me say I empathize for certain, like with the sense that you want to maintain relationships with people who you believe are out for your best interests, and not only that, but they support figures and policies that speak to your value, your dignity, right? Like, I think the reality is, like, every person on the planet, I believe, has dignity, their own inherent dignity and value and worth. The thing is, no person can take your dignity, and no one can give you more dignity, right? Mm-hmm. It's like dignity is not like the shirt on your back. It's more like the skin on your body. Like a shirt, you can get a shirt so soiled that it's unusable, right? But you get dirt on your body, with enough scrubbing in time, that's gonna come out, right? And I think what we want to do is we think about like this conversation. For me, what I want to do is honor KP's dignity, but at the same time trying to honor Kirk's dignity, understanding I could disagree with a person in principle, but not diminish their value as a person. Now, who I associate with, relationally in an intimate way, pause. No, I'm joking, but who I relate to, who I allow to be in my intimate relational space, that's different, right? I get to have the arm further or less further out, so to speak. So with that in mind, I think it is true that we should name the brokenness and the wickedness, if you will, of others who seek to minimize other people's dignity, right? I don't think there's nothing wrong with being able to say, yo, my man, what you said here is deeply problematic because it actually creates a barrier and it obscures the dignity somebody has already. The problem to me, though, is when people marry, they marry their political affiliation to a particular understanding of the Christian faith, right? And what I just wrote a post about this earlier, talking about the tension of like marrying. I'm gonna read this piece, not the whole thing, but like, so at the same time, we should raise concerns. This is one of the points I raised. We should raise concerns about those, which his Charlie Kirk's Christian justifications for his political agenda, his tendency to belittle his opponents, or his takes on race and equity being told like the sense of equity in conversation. People who oppose him are being told you should listen to him in context. Well, I think we need to take, if that's true, we need to take his memorial service, quote unquote, in context as well. Because what it does is what I saw that as doing is kind of marrying, again, a very particular understanding of the Christian faith with a nationalistic identity. The problem, though, is that when the national identity goes against under-resourced and marginalized groups, people would think that is a faithful, healthy expression of the Christian faith, and I think that's not true. And so I also think Kirk and people who are kind of line up with him, so to speak, the uber conservative, far right, if you will, conservative person, they alienate people who are Christians who don't fall into that stream. That could be the left-leaning person. That could be even the apolitical person or Christian I'm speaking specifically of. So yeah, I want to rejoice, to be clear, anytime somebody's talking like bigging up the name of the Lord Jesus. However, I think we need to be careful about marrying the two, because the question on the floor begins to be, what Jesus are they talking about? Are they talking about the Christ of the culture? Are they talking about the Christ of conservatism? Are they talking about the Christ of the scriptures? I think that question is really, that's a really important nuance, because without that nuance, we miss, okay, what am I actually hearing? So that's the A side. The B side is that I do grieve with his wife, the death of her husband, and his children, the death of their father. Even the fact that during I didn't watch the whole thing, but during the memorial piece where she said, through fighting through tears, like, I forgive this man who did this young man who did this. But that's a choice. Forgiveness is a choice. It's not a declaration, right? It's not like, I forgive you, but I need to make that choice every day. You know what I mean? So I think that there is a sense to where I want to empathize with her dignity, her humanity as well. But I need to be just as willing to call out the evil and the vitriol that motivated Charlie Kirk's murderer, in the same way that I will be quick to call out the evil and the vitriol that caused George Floyd's murder as well. I'm not equating the two. I'm just saying we can't pick and choose. You could choose whether or not you're going to mourn this dude's loss, but we all need to be, come to the table with a common understanding that this was a person, this was a father, this was a husband. Now, that don't mean that because he was a father and a husband, his rhetoric was now cool. I'm just saying, don't lose your credibility and you become a kind of somewhat hypocritical in your cry for justice and empathy when it's people on this our black side of the aisle or black side of the issue. I'm not saying agree with Floyd or Kirk in any way. I'm just saying they both deserve dignity, like the dignity of your skin, if that makes sense.
I will never assert humanity on a group of people that will never assert humanity to me. I will never do that.
And I have to agree with
So it's always, the Bible says, an eye for an eye, right? That's the eye you give, that's the eye you look at. If we're gonna, so it's kind of like some of us are in a different realm, and we're in a different realm. And one of the realms is I don't serve the God they serve. It's impossible for us to serve the same God. It's impossible, because my God is a God of conviction. And when I know that I'm knowingly saying or doing things that are diabolically opposed or hurting someone, or I'm in a decision-making role and I have the ability to hurt someone through my decisions, or I have a platform in which I'm responsible for the things that I say that it can lead to someone either getting fired then I'm held more responsible, and I should be more responsible. And I see that there is no conviction from that person or those people. There is none. So they can't serve the same God. So whatever God that they serve, go God on that.
I feel you, but I think like there's a principle when we're talking about philosophy and even so like in sociological discourse of the principle of first reference. And I'm applying that same principle not to the God they claim to serve now, but I'm speaking from a distinctly Christian vantage point because of this truth that is immovable, I believe. So this is Genesis 1:26. I know we actually a Bible study, but so this is after God created
man. Some of us need it.
Yeah, created all the things, right? This is on the sixth day. It says, and God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, and let them, man, human beings, have dominion, which is essentially stewardship over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, and over all the things that creep upon the earth, et cetera, et cetera. Verse 27 says, so God created man in his own image, and in the image of God, he created him, male and female, created them, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over all the created things. There's one, the first principle I'm trying to draw out from this passage is the fact that human beings, regardless of their political affiliation, have dignity because they're made in God's image. And I don't see that as a debatable thing. Now, what they do with their like stewardship, their dominion, if you will, right? What they do with it in various realms is up for debate. I can disagree with a person intensely, fiercely, and even choose to, like KP said, not even associate with such a person. However, I can't deny them their humanity and dignity. Now, I will say this. We got to be careful when I think in some radical spaces, even like, you talk about Malcolm X. I love the fact that people, it's interesting to me when people talk about Malcolm X, because they usually talk about him before he went to Mecca and before his issues with Elijah Muhammad and before his issues calling out Elijah Muhammad on his hypocrisy and his, multiple children all over the place, even with minors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where Malcolm X was actually moving towards a egalitarian posture as he related to human beings. He actually said, I was wrong because I went to Mecca and saw Black Muslims, white Muslims, Arab Muslims, etc. And I began to see what I inherited. It radicalized me because it weaponized my frustration based on my experience as a Black person in America. My point in saying all of that is to say, I owe you respect, whoever you are, because of the fact that you're made in God's image. Now, that does not mean respect doesn't equal approval. Like I could say, yo, I think you're right when it comes to this. And one of my concerns with this way of some of the way we kind of chop it up about these things is that we completely wipe away nuance in every capacity and say, well, if it's either it's black, white, true, false, black, this. When we live in a world, and oftentimes when things come, it's more gray than we would realize it, than we give credit for. And that's not to say I think Kirk was a Christian or that people who support him are Christians or anything like that. I'm just saying I have to take you as you reveal yourself and then chop it up based on that. But I can't assert a motive on you that you've never professed to me. Now, what I will do, though, based on that principle of first reference or objective truth, if you say you're a Christian, I'm going to be able to, you're giving me room to stand. You're giving me room to kind of use this as my objective measuring rod to kind of tune up the conversation no matter who I'm talking to. And so I think if without that, though, we leave a lot of room for, I'm speaking out of a particular frustration or a particular understanding. But again, that's not to say somebody got to see it the way I see it. That's just to say, I owe you respect and I owe you dignity, even if I don't choose to associate with you based on how you reveal yourself to me to be.
So let's go to Larry. Larry, what are your thoughts on this situation?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, just to keep it plain and simple, man, like we just was not afforded that same courtesy. It should have been by the book, by the rules. It should have been, but just him as a person, his own views superseded what should have kept him in check spiritually, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he didn't give us, see other people of culture.
I'm totally with you because I think we have to be able to, like, let's just keep it funky. Like, we got to be able to call some things call a spade a spade. Like, if somebody is using harmful rhetoric against Black women, against Black people, and they're using this, they're weaponizing tropes that are actually racist tropes, we can call that out and say, yo, that's a racist trope. That's this person, if they continue in this way of thinking, in this way of living, I have no problem saying this person's a racist, right? But at the same time, that doesn't mean that to turn my heart off and say this. Like I saw, I don't know about y'all, but I saw as soon as the video came out after Kirk's assassination, a dude I know, I don't even know him very well, but somehow I know him on social media. We friends on social media. He was like, "Woo, good shot." I was like, "Yo, where?" But the same dude was like, "We're worthy of respect." but as soon as the conservative person, again, I'm not trying to play the moderate. I'm not trying to get my Van Jones on, but as soon as when brothers like Eric Garner, George Floyd, etc. It's sad the list is so long. As soon as when a white person brings up somebody's certain particular criminal record, we'll say that's out of bounds because that has nothing to do with the dignity of that person. No matter how they were killed, how they lived their life, has nothing to do with the dignity that they deserve because they were human. Facts. I'm saying apply the same.
No, I don't. I disagree with that because
okay, that's fine.
A white person saying, "Well, he was a drug dealer. He did," has nothing to do with. Separating people. Right? Separating groups and keeping this harmful rhetoric that is not real, right? That is not true at all. And which has a more damaging effect, right? Charlie Kirk's rhetoric is a damaging effect. And I say this, that George Floyd's criminal record is not the reason why 300,000 Black women are unemployed and 165,000 white men are.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I have to disagree. Right. Those are that's different.
But I also want to not to you, Maurice, but I want to clear up when I say I don't assert humanity on those that don't assert humanity on us. Mm-hmm. When I saw when I saw him get shot, that messed up my head for 2 days because I didn't know what to expect. To see that projectile go in his neck and just the way he was responding and the blood was coming out, like this was something you see in a movie. That kind of messed with me for 2 days because I have some level of humanity. Mm-hmm. The humanity that I have is that I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm not gonna destroy you. And when given the chance to blow up a building with you in it, I'm not going to do it. I'm also not going to let somebody else do it. Mm-hmm. What I am saying is I am not going to afford you the dignity of being able to hurt me or say anything ever. You're just not going to be in position to do that. So that's when I say I don't assert a humanity on those that won't assert it onto me. Right. Meaning that I wish them what he would wish for me.
My point, I mean, sister, I always forget your name. What is your name? Renee. Yeah. So let me clarify. Renee. Yeah. Let me clarify. I am not saying that people's response to like the murder of George Floyd and people's response to Charlie Kirk are commensurate. They're equal. I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. I'm saying what Charlie Kirk was saying and the way that he galvanized people or gathered people to wicked causes and wicked ideologies regarding race and regarding the dignity of other human beings, women, men, children, people coming from other countries seeking asylum in this country. And so I'm not in any way saying the effect of his rhetoric is the same. All I'm saying is I can choose, like I said, we said a moment ago, like sometimes the wisest thing a man can say is nothing. Right? Like what your mama used to say. You ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing, right? And I'm not saying don't say nothing because shut up, you have nothing to say. I'm saying be careful because the measure by which you judge, you'll be judged as well. And so I agree with you, KP. I agree with you in the sense that like you can decide I don't want to associate with people who fall in line with this way of thinking in the same way I would. I just was in a bookstore, in Barnes and Noble a few weeks ago, and I saw this book called The Crime of Literacy. And it was about how during slavery, our people were like systemically oppressed in the sense that we weren't even allowed to have access to literature and to reading because of all the different nuances of why that's the case. My only point in saying that is to say, I'm willing to keep distance from people I think are harmful. I'm just saying we have a certain kind of measurement that we use when we want empathy for ourselves. Not to say excuses for somebody's wickedness. I'm just saying there is a sense to where if I don't want to say something that's charitable, do I really have to say good shot?
But let me ask you this, Maurice: do you want empathy from someone other than this on this panel? Because I don't.
You said, do I want
anybody? I do not like. I don't want. Keep your tears, keep your empathy, keep your thoughts and prayer. I don't want it because I know it's not genuine, it's not pure. But I know if my brother Larry say, "Hey, bro, KP, I'm with you, brother. Hey, I'm sorry for what you're going through. I'm here for you." I know that's real. Right. I don't need empathy, admiration, or affirmation from them. Like that's our problem. We don't need it. What you need it for?
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, man, like I think need is. I wouldn't use the word need. I think that if I'm dealing with a person who has like, if I'm going through something difficult, right, and I have again, I want to be very clear. I'm trying my best to speak from a distinctly Christian vantage point. So I'm saying it that way because my framework for thinking about this thing. What I'm saying to you, you may not agree with, but it's grounded in certain principles. I'm going to say that. And so I'll say this: like I don't need empathy from people at large. However, if I have a life that's multi-ethnic, multicultural, because I believe God's people and God's purpose for drawing people to himself, also to one another, is multi-ethnic and multicultural, I need to be just as willing to call a spade and say Derek Chauvin is evil and wicked for what he did to a man, George Floyd. And I need to call the shooter that killed Charlie Kirk evil and wicked for what he did to Charlie Kirk. Not because I think that I have any inherent investment in either group, either person. I'm just saying ontologically, in their essence, they were human beings worthy of dignity and respect. Now, do I need it from white people?
Call it out.
No.
Yeah.
Do I need it from white people? No. But if I got white friends, I would expect my white friends to be, you know what I mean? My close friends.
I don't care if they do or don't. That's the difference. Because what Christianity has done, and I'm gonna dissect Christianity in just a second. Christianity or a Christian. What I'm saying is I don't call myself a Christian because Jesus never called us Christians. He called us either followers or believers. He never called his people Christians. Christians became a negative connotation on Antioch, and they used it as they was mocking them, like those Christians over there. Those, you know what I mean? So and then all of a sudden, after the Bible was written in Hebrew,
I think that was a good pause. What were you saying?
Yeah, it was a good pause. No, it was a good pause because what I'm saying is Jesus never called his people Christians. He called them believers and disciples and followers.
That's true.
And all I'm saying is this Christian, there's another pause. That's a devil. I hear you. But what I'm saying is when it comes to those things, it made us weak as a people. Because we're the ones turning the other cheek, allowing the other cheek to get slapped. No, they're not. They're not turning the other cheek.
When you say now, you're going back and forth.
What I'm saying is the Bible that was given us, the 66 books in that Bible that was given to us was designed for control and manipulations. That's what the Greeks did. That's why they edited all the other books in the Bibles, right? You only get 66. You only get 66. It's more than that. It's Book of Enoch and all those other things. There is a reason. It was for control. And at the end of the day, we know it was control because we had our people praying for 256 years for this to happen and that to happen, and they never did. It took from 1619 to 1865 for them to get some bit of civility. They were praying to the same God that the other people was praying to. Like I said, the same people that gave us Jesus gave us the N-word. And how the hell are we going to serve the same God?
There you go. Leon, don't do it.
Hey, look, he already know what I'm going to say. I ain't going to say nothing.
No, I'm just saying it makes us weak. Get away from that. Get closer to the spirituality of God and not the religion of God. And it will allow you to see things for what it really is. I'm not saying don't be a believer. I am a believer through and through. But I have separated myself from that religious teachings that they bestowed upon us from when we were growing up. Because at the end of the day, something's going to happen with them. At some point, they're going to realize that somebody's not in the Bible. Y'all want to know who's not there? white people.
So
As soon as they figure that out,
let me make one point, and I don't want this to turn into a me and you back and forth thing. But I would agree that like people, our ancestors were giving a very corrupted understanding of the Christian faith, because even like the way that the Christian faith was used, it was used in portions that was misread, misinterpreted, misapplied. So, for example, I love this quote from Frederick Douglass, where he says, "I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. Because of that, I therefore hate the corrupt, slaveholding, women whipping, cradle plundering, partial, hypocritical Christianity of this land. Indeed, I see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of this land of America Christianity." He says, "I look upon it as the climax of all misnomers, the boldest of all frauds, and the grossest of all libels or lies." So Frederick Douglass is drawing a clear distinction between the Christianity that the Bible actually promotes versus the Christianity of America. I'm saying the Christianity of America because I would reject some of the same stuff that you're saying as well. However, I think we need to be careful, and this is all I'm saying, is that we all have dignity. I'm glad I said that first. Like all human beings have dignity, not just simply all Black people. And because all human beings have dignity,
truly believe that you truly believe that other let's just say races or ethnicity have dignity, have that?
I believe that's why I open. Like I said, this sociological and even like psychological principle of first reference. If we're going to, my reference point for dignity is not contemporary affairs. It's, as a Christian, holding to God's word as the final authority for how I mediate and evaluate circumstances and practices. So I would say, yes, all human beings on the planet, regardless of now race is a social construct, used to deploy power for whites and over again, especially during colonial power. However, I would say ethnicity, the fact that people come from different ethnic groups or nationalities from different nations, yes, all human beings have dignity and value. And because of that, dignity, value, respect, they're worthy of that. Now, that doesn't mean I agree with what every human being does after the fact, but the fact that they're worthy of dignity and respect, to me, is something it's unimpeachable, because the moment I strip it from you, it's able to be stripped from me because we get it from the same place.
I wouldn't strip anyone of their dignity. I would just say that you can't strip someone of something they don't have.
See, that's where we disagree. And I'm okay with that.
I know. And I get that. But it's not going to change anything other than at some point that dignity is going to be put to test at some point.
Right.
And that's the only barometer that we can measure it. And I don't know, Maurice. I just I go back and forth with this a lot, and I do understand what you're saying with Frederick Douglass and how he tried to separate. But before he said that once a man learned to read, he is incapable of being a slave. Right. And when he says that, I say that maybe not being a slave to the master in terms of religious hierarchy, or maybe his self-learning of himself, that you could no longer enslave me. That thing can go so many ways because it didn't come with a whole bunch of context when he said it, other than how you perceive it. And I perceive it that in all ways, once you learn to read, you are incapable of becoming a slave, whether that's in the field or mental. It's impossible. You know what I mean? And now, so
I agree with you in this sense. Like, first, I flat out agree with you. But what I would add, like if we're building, I'm going to add this, that you're and this conversation kind of moved away from Kurt and whatnot. So, but I'll add this, that Christianity, in its essence, call it what you will. I'm not a super duper attached to the term Christian. If that's the sticking point, let's move that aside.
I was just giving you something to chew on for later. Let it sizzle in your spirit, and chew up and spit out the bones, brother. That's all.
No.
I'm not right, but I damn sure ain't wrong.
What I was going to say is this, though, is that Christians never occupied, in the scriptures, this sense of imperial power to legislate, like provide legislation for laws and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like there's certain particular practice, for example, slavery was actually undone through subversive love as Christians across multi-ethnic groups were coming together and class distinctions coming together under the banner of Christ and the family of God at large. So looking at Frederick Douglass's statement, his point about that's why I said why is a man not fit to be a slave once he learns to read, because he understands he has dignity when the system itself is perpetuating he has no dignity. But where does he get the fundamental understanding of dignity? It's the air that he's breathing as he takes in the scriptures, right? And so I'm saying that to bring it all the way back to what we're talking about now, I flat out denounce everything that Charlie Kirk said and did, and the people that he galvanized for these wicked purposes and the things that he said, which was
all right. Well, we're on the same page.
And it's indefensible. My point in saying that is to say this: I think it's possible, because we do it all the time, to draw a clear line of separation between the things I completely disagree with a person about and the things I denounce with a person about. But I can't say, dag, I'm glad. I wouldn't say, dag, I'm glad this person's like up out of here, because they have dignity. I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying
no. I'm saying I would. No, I was just asserting like I would never say that.
Yeah, that's the line I'm drawing by saying, we have these conversations deserve a nuance that oftentimes in our frustration we're not willing to give. And so I think that, wrong is wrong, right is right. We have to be able to call a spade a spade, but we have to also say, how do I now point out the evil while maintaining a sense of dignity? Now I say dignity.
Somebody got some noise in the background.
That's some helicopters, man.
Yeah, they looking for you, bro.
Man, they're looking for your boy.
Hey,
they gonna find me.
Yeah,
I'm going off the grid. Larry taught me how to do for self. Larry taught me how to farm and hit the target.
I'm with that, man. All I'm saying is, like, I want to be able to point out the problems with this veneration of Kurt. I'm just saying he also, I agree, I lament for his wife and his children, because he had dignity, and so do they. So I think the moment we start trying
you think he would have it for yours?
If he doesn't know me, if he's bunching me up in a group.
No. You was at the gas station. You know, you were at the gas station and you had an altercation with the cops, and you were right, but they were wrong. They decided to be judge and jury and execute you right there at the gas station, leave behind your wife and your kids. Do you think he makes a post about your wife and, hey, I'm praying for his wife and his kids? You think he will assert the same thing onto you as you are doing right now for him?
Nah, but we don't. Exactly. I think we shouldn't, on the basis of ethics, we should not.
It's not ethics. It's returning what people give to you, right?
Yeah, but that's an ethical stance, right? I'm determining how I'm going to treat you based on how you treat me. That's ethics, right? How I'm going to move in the world.
Yeah, but inside those ethics, I'm only going to go so far. Like, for instance, I do not say that I will never be rejoicing in their grievance. That is a bridge too far in the ethics. But my ethics is I wish for you that you would wish for me. So if there is good in you, then that means you're wishing good for me. That's why I say I wish for those. He would wish for me is what I would wish for him. That way, if there's good there, there's good coming my way. If there's no good, then I ain't got to worry about it.
That's just being a decent person, a decent human being.
That's
I wonder, Marie, do you believe that he will assert humanity on your grieving wife and child in your absence? Or is he going to double down and say, why did Maurice comply? Statistics show that 13% of the population is responsible for 58% of the crime. Maurice he was born criminal. He's inherently violent.
Right.
Yeah. But here's the other thing.
What you think is going to be the narrative? That or him asserting
I think that, to me, you just brought up in your statement, there's 2 points I think that's important to kind of double click on. The first is that we don't mete out equity and justice on the base. That's one of the dangers of meeting out justice and equity on the basis of other people's treatment of us, because you know what I mean? If someone doesn't grant me dignity, doesn't mean I don't have it. I have it. They can't see it. There's something obscuring their ability to see my dignity while seeing their own. That's a problem. Two, the other thing is that the other thing though is like we need to like highlight the tragedy and the problem of that kind of like false dichotomy, the separation of a person's value and dignity and the things that they've done. Even when I was 15, me and some dudes I knew robbed this lady's house. I got arrested. If somebody wanted to somehow, they could try to pull up my juvenile. Never had her been arrested in a situation with officers, you know, up until like my wife actually was a cop and all that stuff since I got married. But like all of these things, somebody wanted to, they could find a certain like non-flattering picture of me, pull up my juvenile record, craft a narrative. But the good,
which will take
thing,
away your dignity.
So,
but Maurice, not supposed to be stripped is my point.
Maurice.
Yeah.
So your first thoughts of Charlie Kirk, like I didn't know too much about it. I might have heard something. I seen a clip before all this happened. Then once it happened, I started seeing a lot of different things he was saying. And I was like, man, I can't believe he was saying stuff like this.
Right.
So your first initial thoughts, him saying he's a Christian, you a Christian, but the things he's saying towards black people, what was your first initial thoughts as far as, you know, because, you know, if you're a Christian, say God is love, you know, how, you know, it didn't seem like he had love for any black people.
Right.
What was your initial thoughts on that?
My initial thought, same thing I'm saying, like it's the saying the KP, like my initial thought was, dang, that's
being
messed
an old
up.
farm
That's
bar.
wicked.
Oh, okay, you didn't say that.
No, what? No, I'm like, yo, this is evil. This is the stuff that he's saying is wrong, flat out. Like this is wicked. This is problematic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which is why, for the longest, ever since his unfortunate assassination, I've always said we got to be careful who we allow to become our heroes.
Hey,
like, we have to be very
Matthew
careful.
7:15.
Especially since when somebody, when that person becomes, here's the other thing. One of the problems though is that some people are using the things Kirk did that they would say are Christian things as a way to stand on that to produce even more things that are problematic. And that's why I'm like, yo, call a spade a spade. He was wrong when he said this. I have no heaven to put him in or hell to put him in. But I can judge what I see based on some objective facts. Okay, this was wrong when he said this and this. If he's thinking and navigating relationships like what I'm seeing, then I can't, in good conscience, call this man a Christian. I personally can't do that. But I'm not God. You know what I mean? Like, so I have to be careful with how I mete out a sense of my evaluation, because let the spotlight get put on me in the same way that's put on him publicly, even privately. Somebody will like, yo, this dude Reese is not a Christian.
You just said you the feelings you had, you can't say he's a Christian, but you're not God. So what?
Right.
Because that's my thoughts.
But
I'm
you're
like,
created. You read in Genesis, we're created in His image, so you
but
are
that doesn't
God.
mean no.
You're the God of Anunnaki.
What were you saying, Leah?
I forgot my question now.
No, that's what the word says. The word says, you read it, Maurice. You said, well, first of all, I'll need a question. It said, let us make man. Who was us?
All right.
Second question is, he said that let's create man in my own image. You are God.
Nah. Like this is an aside.
Okay.
To Leon's,
who is us?
To Leon's point, man, like I am willing to say I don't have a heaven or hell to put this man in. So ultimately, when he stands before his creator, he will be judged based on some objective facts. I just can't be the one to I'm not so quick to say this man is a Christian or he is not. I personally would look at the things that he said, the things that he, like some of his rhetoric and all that kind of stuff, and say, man, like this is a very problematic. I personally can't say he's a Christian.
Yeah.
But I'm also willing to say I cannot be so quick to say like he is not deserving of my lament or my I don't personally grieve him. I didn't know the man, but I think it's also in me in light of my beliefs to say, you know what? I disagree with him on all these things, but I can't. Like, it's sad this man was taken out like that. That's messed up.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like the way I received this, and it was kind of like clear as day, bro. Like if you ever seen New Jack City with Ice-T and Wesley Snipes, at the end in the courtroom scene where Wesley Snipes wins and he's walking out and the old man shoots him, and Wesley Snipes falls down the balcony, right? What did Ice-T do?
I'm gonna show you what he did. Put them shades on and said, "Niggas get shot every day, B."
Yeah. he knew what it was. Like he knew it. What's understood doesn't need to be said. You know what I mean?
Oh, all right. I'm messing up my movies. My bad.
Yeah, so let's move on with the Renee. What's this guy's name?
I appreciate the convo, man. That's
Nick Fuentes.
So before you go into that,
come on, man.
You guys, wait, hold on. Before you go into that, if you guys don't know Nick Fuentes, because I'm saying that to say this, with Charlie Kirk getting shot, a lot of people did not know who he was.
Right.
And I said to myself, I said, you know what? They are. This is why we have the problem we have, because he was very instrumental in gaining that young crowd.
Yep.
To convert over and to vote for Trump, and he was very instrumental in getting those evangelicals. Evangelicals voted 4 out of 5 for Trump. And the rhetoric that he had been putting out, and I was like, it's amazing that people don't know it. So I say this: we need to know who Nick Fuentes is, even though he is part of Gropers, that group that they have, and we'll get into Gropers later. But remember, there's some infighting amongst the fight. So sometimes a king snake is just trying to eat a copperhead. Let him cook. Let him cook. And so what I'm saying is that sometimes that happens. We just need to get out of the way, because there is a lot of infighting between the groups as to not being conservative enough or not being extreme enough. And they're flushing this out between them two. And so we're going to let them have it. The other names we need to know. We need to know Russell Voigt. We need to know Stephen Miller. You need to know Steve Bannon. And you need to know, Kevin Roberts. Kevin Roberts and Russell Vogt are the guys who wrote Project 2025, who denounced and said Trump. We don't know, and now they have positions. They have positions. And Brendan Carr. Brendan Carr is over the FCC. He wrote a piece in the 2025 in Project 25 on the FCC and what they were going to do. Yep. But again, they had no idea about these things. So you need to know Brendan Carr. You need to know Stephen Miller. Steve Bannon, he's not in the administration, but he is a voice on the outside that's pumping this to the older people. You need to know Kevin Roberts, who actually wrote part of the Project 2025. And you need to know Nick Fuentes. And as a side note, you guys need to know who Richard Spencer is. And he's not in administration. He's just we need to know that. I said that for the audience so that they do have some breadcrumbs, but you can go ahead now.
Right. Because now they're fighting, right? But now they're trying to sway the audience, specifically Nick Fuentes.
They're trying to sway the audience. And one more thing I need to add. In that memorial, you guys got to understand, the banner that they had was, "This is our turning point." And there was Charlie Kirk throwing a red MAGA hat in the air as the Montgomery Brawl. They stole from us because of the hat in the air signalized. Remember when your boy did it in the video, right? Mm-hmm. And so the black man that did that in Montgomery, that started the brawl, he threw his hat in the air. Well, if y'all didn't look at their signs, they had, "This is our turn." You know, it was Turning Point USA. They said, "This is our turning point," and they throwing the red MAGA hat in the air. That's throwing out that bat signal. I just want to put that out there.
Very true.
Did we talk? Well, we're gonna move on to the next one.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah, Nick.
You're good. But no, because right now he's trying to get everybody else's buy-in. So now he's upset with, MAGA. Now he's up, he's calling. He called Candace Owens a drifter, right? A drifter to the black. What did he? So
what? What do I always say
Like
about
me.
politics?
Hmm?
What do I always say about politics? It's a
I'm
game.
not sure.
It
What
is
is
It's a
it?
game.
definitely a game. I've never doubted you on that. It's definitely,
Yeah.
but we
Oh
need
no, no, Leon. It
we need
is a
people to
game.
see that because now he's gaining traction with, he knows how some black people, he knows how black people who look like me, cool as a cucumber, feel about Candace Owens, right? So now he's trying to gain people like me, right? So now everybody, you know how easy some black people can be persuaded, like, oh, he's speaking facts. He's invited to the cookout. No.
No,
Just as much
return
as
to
he's calling
sender.
Candace Owens a grifter, he's just one too.
So let's look at this clip
Steve
right here.
Bannon, same
You
thing.
know what?
Remember,
I would like for
Steve
you to
Bannon
play
was
the clip
upset
of him.
Remember, Steve Bannon was upset that Trump was, Elon Musk was president for a couple months.
Yeah.
Was
Let
he?
me play.
Was he not?
Renee, let me play this
Steve.
clip right here real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hold on. Did I lose it?
This man is super mega. He's taking advantage because we're so
No,
easily.
he's another. So Renee, there's a clip out there, and I think it was last week, where he's anti-MAGA because he went through. It's like he was having a reckoning with himself, and he was saying the policies of Joe Biden versus policies of Trump. He said, "Look, let's just think about this." He said, "Student loan forgiveness."
Right?
That benefits
The
me.
house.
He was just having a reckoning. He was having that come to Jesus moment. And he was talking about Trump policies hurt me. And he was having, I don't know if he had took a truth pill that day, but that day he was talking, he was just being real. He was calling balls and strikes.
That's when he was talking about Candace Owens.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Let me find
one of the things I think is kind of it usually happens. First of all, I want to say, like, before I say this, I appreciate you, KP, man. Like, I would love to chop it up with you off site, like offline, so to speak. So
we should.
Yeah, because usually whenever I'm on this joint and I see you, I'm like, it's gonna be fun. But no, one of the things I was gonna say, man, is one of the dangers. This goes back to one of the points I was making a moment ago, with being careful who you allow to become your kind of leaders or models, right?
True.
Or heroes. Is because now that Charlie Kirk is out of the picture, right? There is this there's this gap that's been left, and who's going to have the sway of the young people in the next election cycle? So that's partly why this
JD Vance,
his memorial was so big, big for what it was. Wasn't just because of who his Christian thing. I believe this, me being conspiracy theorist, right? Like, it wasn't just because of his Christian faith or his political allegiances, etc. Because people don't want to lose the focal point of his audience, like people who were attracted to him. And so I'm that's one of my concerns is like what happens when
I don't think it's going to be JD Vance. I think it's going to be, what is it? Is his last name Tatum? The one guy who was arrested and then they allowed him back into the States because he's a great guy now.
It
wasn't. That's not Tatum. That's the guy that openly talked about beating women. And Andrew Tate.
Yeah, Andrew Tate. Yeah, he wants to take his place so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is,
scratch your head.
The blueprint that they can do is, as long as they say that they're God-fearing Christians, they could do whatever. They could do whatever.
That's the problem with syncretism. That's my point. Like, when you synchronize an expression, I'm going to use the language of Brother Douglas, the Christianity of the land and the national politics and policies of the land, and you bring them together. The problem is people will think they're rejecting the Christian faith if they reject conservatism, because they think the way that it's being promoted is if the two go together, and they're just one and the same. And I believe that's not true. And so I'm saying it's a problem. Like when we see what we're seeing. People think that, and it's crazy. I can go even further with some of the things I'm seeing in my kind of lane, so to speak. It's just like, people are looking for a hero, and they always have been. And so it's sad. It's sad to see people weaponize this moment, this figure. We don't want to lose the sway of this person's audience. So what we need to do is kind of galvanize them all the more, which is why it felt less like a memorial, more like another Trump rally or like a conservative stop, so to speak. But that's just from
right. That's basically what it was.
And Candace Owens going so hard for him, CK, as I refer to him, she wasn't even invited to his memorial.
We play this clip, right? I found the clip.
I'm just throwing it out there.
There you go. Oh.
And you need to listen and listen well. I'm a 27-year-old white man. The Republican Party has never, ever in my entire life done anything for me. My life better, to make my life easier. Never. What are the kinds of issues that I'm facing? Home ownership is unaffordable. Has the Republican Congress done anything about that? Absolutely not. The job market is cooked. It's cooked because of H-1B visas. It's cooked because of high-skilled and low-skilled immigration. Has the GOP done anything about that? Absolutely not. They sent us to war in Iraq, Afghanistan. Now they want us to fight a war in Iran. This country's cooked because of feminism. Things like no-fault divorce have made marriage very unattractive. Do Republicans even talk about that? Absolutely not. College is unaffordable. Have the Republicans tried to wipe student loans or make college more affordable? Absolutely not. Name one thing that the Republican Party has ever done explicitly for young white men, for their direct and tangible benefit. They have done nothing. And I got to tell you something about voting Republican. And you need to listen and listen well.
We listening, Nick.
So look, do you think, I don't know, it sounded like he was trying to be funny to me.
No.
You think he was sincere about what he was saying?
Yeah, because in that same clip, he broke down the reasons being like it will be satire if we didn't see the pretext of what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. But I've seen that same clip where he actually breaks down how it impacted his life. Mm-hmm. And it takes work to do that, brother. And he broke it down.
But again, watch who you praising, or you feel everybody can be
that
involved.
Same guy about 2 weeks before that was always calling for Kirk's head, literally.
Say he was?
About 2 weeks before that, him and Laura Lone, they were calling for his head. Sure was. Yeah, they was calling for his head about two, and knew Nick Fuentes was for sure. I think at least about 2 weeks or a month prior to the old boy getting shot, that he was that Nick was calling for it. So, and then the other ones that I think it was Laura Loomer and things like that, they were calling for, saying that he's that Trump is not happy with him, and but she has since took down those tweets where she was condemning him.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple times, so I really don't know too much about him. You know anything about him, Maurice?
Him and Kanye went to Mar-a-Lago. Right during the election time.
Yeah, they were hanging out.
I don't know. One of the things, and this is something I'm thinking about. Like, I personally just stay in my lane, so to speak, but I don't want to be. Somebody might say I stay in my lane, but what I don't mean to say is I got my head in the sand. I just trying to be careful with how much of my attention I give all these different things. Because
see now look, that's why I was at before, and with all
but
this,
then I got him fired up.
No, yeah. So when all this is 2020, when all this stuff started happening, that's where I'm at now. I'm like, man, I wish I would have stayed where I was at, because this stuff with my mental, I don't want. I'll be like KP, really. Tell you the truth. I don't.
Then that's a what? So y'all saying that's a bad thing.
I don't. Well, it is. I'm gonna tell you why it's a bad thing.
Tell me why it's a bad
I'm
thing.
gonna tell you why.
Because I want to hear, because I want to be right.
It stirs up a lot of hate. It stirs up a lot of hate. No.
Hold on. Let's place this correctly.
I'm talking about as
there
far
is
as
no hate. No, what there is no hate in me. The thing is, you're uttering the words that are oppressive. When I speak truth to power, or I hold the mirror up to them, they say I'm preaching hate when I talk about that I love me and I love my people.
No, I'm not talking about toward.
What I'm saying is, I know you don't mean it, Leon. I'm trying to. I know you don't mean it. I know what you're trying to say. For the sake of audience and for the sake of black to black love, we shouldn't. It's not hate.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say this. Maybe I miss. How can I put it? I don't like. Well, I don't know. It can't.
You don't like feeling fired up
that way. Yeah, I don't like being in that space. You know, because I don't even like being in that space. So that's why I say all this politics thing is a whole. It's just a game. We're going back and forth.
It's definitely a game.
Division is even stirring up the division against Christian blacks, church, different churches, blacks, people. Just period, man. I don't even want to be in that space.
Leon, you're absolutely right.
Because I get to saying stuff I don't want to say, and I ain't gonna take it back. And I ain't gonna regret nothing.
Watching my timeline when this shooting happened, of the division between within the black community was just sickening. It was like that scene on Stephen Holden, Master of Candy. I just was like, what? But I know why. It's because what I said earlier to Maurice, Christianity and the teachings of it, the way it was bestowed upon us, made us weak. It made us look at our oppressors and have compassion, empathy immediately without them having to assert it back to us. And so as soon as something happened, sure, we use the word of God. Sure, we use Christ. Sure, we use our faith. And we say, you know what? I empathize. I pray for my brother. I will never be part of a family that's like Botham John. When Botham John was killed, his brother said, can he go over there and hug Amber Geiger? He's like, Judge, can I hug her? That will never happen. And that's not hate. That's just me recognizing you told me who you was. You shot my brother. You knew you was in the wrong place, and you doing everything you can to get off on this instead of taking accountability. So I believe you who you are. You're not a person that's going to take accountability. So when we're in a foxhole together and something goes wrong, you're not going to take accountability. So therefore, I'm not going to get in the foxhole with you. That don't mean I hate Amber Geiger. It just means I'm believing who you told me you were.
Well, let me say, it stirs up anger. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm not angry.
And that's angry. You angry right now.
No,
that's
he's
anger.
passionate.
He's passionate.
That's anger. It stirs up. No, it's anger.
Listen, man, you speaking the words of the oppressor, man. Let me. You know what? I'm about to go get Malcolm and bring him to your studio.
You said Malcolm. Like I said, man, it's very interesting to me. Like, so I think the language of, like, again, I think you mentioned. I keep saying this, but I got it here somewhere. But Malcolm X. But why do all people only mention Malcolm?
All right. Well, first of all, we're gonna believe him. Nat
Let him finish it.
No. I'm Nat Turner, because that same Bible told Nat Turner.
Let me make this point.
I'm sorry.
I think we can have multiple layers of a conversation, but sometimes the certain things that may present themselves as a layer of a conversation really is a rabbit trail to shoot us all over the place rather than having the same conversation. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, call a spade a spade. If you mention Amber Geiger and Botham Jean, like, she came to the wrong apartment, killed my man, etc. Like, she deserves the full extent of the law.
But she didn't get the full extent of
the law. What I'm saying is, justice for one should be justice for all, meaning the same measure standard by which.
Come on, Malcolm.
What I'm saying, just because we live in a constitutional republic where we don't, ideally speaking, justice should be meted out, but we know we live in a corrupt society too. So I'm saying, call a spade and say wrong is wrong. When this man said, said the things that he said that was wrong and evil and wicked and et cetera, let's call it that flat out. And let's hold him accountable to that. And let's hold anyone that is not only galvanized, but also radicalized by his stances. Let's call them out too. Let's address these issues as they actually are.
Are y'all there?
I'm also saying, but the separate point
Looks
I'm
like it's
saying,
frozen up.
the separate point I'm saying is that we can have a conversation about those things, but let's not be people who then all of a sudden remove nuance where it needs to be applied. I think we need to have the character and constitution of character to say, I want to disagree where I can, and if possible, if at all possible, disagree agreeably. There's things KP said on here just now, like as he's talking, I'm like, I flat out disagree with that wholeheartedly. But you know what that doesn't mean? I'm gonna create this barrier. Now, if we ever connect, cool, we can chop it up over, a meal or something like that. But we can talk about those nuances, those different things that we disagree about. Maybe I can equip, he can challenge me, I can challenge him, and we can grow together. I'm just saying I'm not so quick to put this kind of barrier up, because I don't think that operates from a Christian vantage point as we talk about all human beings made in God's image. That does not mean now I'm holding out. I love what my man C.S. Lewis said. He wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He said, one of the values of the Christian worldview is that you don't need to be a Christian to receive the benefits of the worldview, right? Meaning, I'm going to handle and move through the world like as a Christian, and whatever I'm producing as a Christian and other collectives of Christians produce, that person receiving the benefit of what we produce doesn't have to be a Christian to get that benefit. Like, so a hospital. I'm going to produce, if we produce a hospital, anybody that can come to the hospital. You don't have to be a Christian to come to the hospital. If I make a coffee shop, you don't have to be a Christian to drink this coffee, but you can, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. So I'm saying I'm holding out a particular vision of navigating the world that you don't need to be a Christian. You don't have to agree with me for me to handle you with dignity and class. Now, that does not mean I'm going to invite you into an intimate space in my life because we are made in God's image. I'm saying I'm going to handle you with respect and dignity, even if you're acting beneath your own dignity, right? And so again, I'm not saying give evil or wickedness a pass. I'm saying call it what it is, address it what it is, let justice roll that roll. Like, it is what it is. Let's handle it there. But I'm also not going to there's a way to handle that conversation as well, to the point where we can address the evil, also address the person, understanding that there is nuance to conversations that we often don't extend when we quickly say oppressor, oppressed. And that's just not, that's why I don't use that language, because it broad strokes too many things, in my opinion.
You don't believe there is an oppressor and an oppressed?
I think there are people who are oppressed, yes. But I think we have to be particular with what we're talking about when we use that language. If not, we can, like as Leon said, we can kind of radicalize people to our perspective.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's like, yo, I'm just feeling how I'm feeling. Blah, blah, blah. I'm with him. Speak truth to the power. Flip the tables. It's like, yes, I hear you, but after a certain point, my frustration is not going to get me anywhere. We need to have a substantive conversation with people we disagree with. And if I can't reach a point of common ground, I can let you be. I can choose who I give my energy to in my space.
It's like my last episode I did with Mecca, Will Elmore. He was saying he don't give a lot of attention to what's going on, but he's aware.
Mm-hmm.
He
Right.
says
There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, he spent most of his energy trying to, build himself up and build other people,
right,
and doing positive things. And
you can't do both.
Some people don't want to do both.
I don't think you can.
I'm tell you, that's what I'm saying. I can't do both because I don't like that. I don't even want to be in that space.
I guess I need to always know what's outside of my front door when I leave my house.
One of the things I agree. I hear that. One of the things my wife said, that I told her about. She was like, "Why do you even talk about these? Like, engage these conversations with people? Let's let it be. Like I'm gonna be here, you're gonna be there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." I said, I told her this. My aim in every conversation, public conversation, I'm speaking in the crowd, but I don't know who I'm speaking to. So I'm speaking in the crowd, but I'm speaking to this person. The issue is I don't know who this person is, but I'm speaking in the group. I'm speaking to all the people. And I think in a similar way, like my aim isn't to convert the crowd. I'm not, and I don't argue with people who are. My aim isn't to argue with people who will not be convinced. However, let's have a conversation. We can go to the mat on certain issues. Let's do that offline, because when I'm speaking on social media, when I'm speaking, and even in this space, I know I'm not going to change this person's opinion, this person's perspective over here, but there's going to be people who come to me on the side like, yo, tell me more about what you said. Hey, you said this. I don't know what did you mean by that? And I'm going to say, yo, let's chop it up over a meal, because I'm speaking in the crowd. I think anytime you speak in a public forum, you have to speak multi-directionally. Like, I'm speaking here, and here. The problem is I don't know who is being hit by what I'm saying and who's benefiting from it. But that shouldn't stop me from speaking it just because me and you disagree. Because I'm talking to you, but I'm really not talking for you, if that makes sense. So you had to choose what hills to die on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But
Yes.
I definitely try to, do what I can on my end, right? But also keep myself in the know. Because I don't like bad surprises.
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody, I tell my employees at work, I tell my friends, I don't like bad surprises.
I keep an umbrella in my car, even in the summer.
Right. All throughout the year. Right.
Yep.
Clothes, the towel, I have an emergency kit, all that. I don't like surprises. So I try to find a way to keep.
I trust God, but I lock my door. I trust God, but I lock my door, though.
Listen,
Yeah.
I mean, so, I hear what you're saying. Like, a lot of times people don't have the mental capacity. And, I probably wouldn't either if I didn't have the medicine that I have. But
medicine. Okay, you're not telling us?
I just told you I was diagnosed with ADHD. So I
look,
have to be
I thought that was a joke.
Wait a minute. No, it wasn't a joke. I could tell she was serious. So when would you just subscribe with this thing?
I don't believe it, Renee. Renee, I don't believe it. I don't. I've been around you. Renee.
KP, hold on. Wait a minute. When was this? How recent was this?
Michael Antonio, January of this year? No, March of this year.
I don't believe it.
I've always had it. I've always been very particular.
I reject it. I reject it. I don't believe that God had that. I believe that you're just a natural woman, that women are able to grasp this, grab that. Have you ever argued with a woman and realized that, well, as a man, we can't keep up because y'all will go into this and that and this, and we didn't even get finished the other point. So by that token, every woman has ADHD. So I'm not saying that, but there's some other factors. I'm not joking, Renee. I mean this in love. I don't know. Fuck that. I mean, bump that medicine and just be who you are. You are wonderfully made.
Yes, I would.
I've been around you. We talk. You're not. No, do not.
You've been around me and we talked, but I've taken my medicine before. I mean,
I think a lot of times I've been around her, she went on her medicine.
Well, I mean,
that's why when she said, that's why when she first said it, I'm like, you just not figuring that out?
Yeah. Because
I think I've only have experience with one group of women, and I think that is the norm, Renee. I think it's just the norm. No. And I think you just need to suss through it as your body are going through these changes between, I don't know, you wasn't in school in the 2000s, so now I got to date you mid-90s. So let's come into that window where the men all pause.
But there's numerous things. Like I said, I've taken the test. I've taken it twice, to be honest.
It's culturally biased.
I wasn't sure, right? I wasn't sure. And then I got distracted by way of whatever, and I had to take it again. So, it took a while for me, my doctor, to even, get me here, because there's other things like my OCD, all of these different things that you guys don't see with that, how I handle things or try to handle things on a day-to-day basis. And, just different things that my mom taught me throughout my years of growing up with my to-do list and my, my sticky notes and all these different things that she tried to control herself because she did not want to put me on medicine. Right. So, a lot of times you reach that breaking point where you actually need help. And it took me to, at the beautiful year that I am now, age, for me to be able to reach out and ask for help. And it wasn't just like my doctor. I have a black physician assistant. He lives in Chapel Hill. Shout out to him. But it took a while for us. We had some talks, a lot of virtual sessions for him to even get me there.
So let me ask you this: in these virtual sessions, did they ever try to work through the part? What I've just heard you said, your mom instituted this checklist of spirits. So sometimes things that can be welcome into our spirits between the ages of 8 and 15, and it becomes us. And what I sounds like is that your mom made you very task oriented. And
she did, but it's a problem.
And that has
it's a
problem. No different than some guys that are around their dad and they pick up the habits from their dad and that's just what they do, or picked up things from their mom. I'm hearing when you say that you just don't know me, I got to get this task. I'm OCD. Well, if you're around a black mom, then you're gonna do some OCD stuff around the house. We call it OCD, but it's Sunday cleaning to the gospel music. And so
it's abnormal when I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I've already checked my door 4 times to see if it's locked.
That's something. So that's okay. All right.
Yeah,
right.
My aunt, she's a psychotherapist, and she said, like Renee just said, she said it took her doctor and her some time to really, I guess, get to it.
And it's a slow dosage, right? It's a slow dosage. Like my doctor didn't say, here's 100 milligrams of Adderall. You start taking that today. No, I started with like breaking in half, 2.5, 5, 10, stop at 10, right?
Mm-hmm. And so was the medication a last resort?
Yes. Right. Because like I said, I had to speak with him, and I have 2. I have a physician assistant, who can prescribe the Adderall, and then I also have a woman's doctor, that describes other things. So he describes my anxiety and depression medicine and my Adderall. So it's just a combination of things. But what a lot of people don't know is, like I said, as a child, the parents don't know because they don't educate themselves, or they don't understand.
Kind of bury it.
Right. So in order for me to even get there, because you can't just go to a doctor and be like, I need some Adderall, I think I got ADHD. Right. They're like, no, you have to take a long test. I mean, it's like 2 hours. 2 hours. So, fingers.
I want to, first of all, I appreciate your vulnerability and your honesty with being able to say that. I think in our community, in the Black community, we have to learn how to, grapple with the tension of our lived experiences, our culture, our upbringing, and all those type of things. But also, too, there's no shame in being able to acknowledge I have this issue and I'm seeking treatment in these particular ways, as long as it doesn't work against your ability to flourish and be on point in your other areas of life. So I want to say, first of all, like, I appreciate you being upfront and real about this is what I'm wrestling with, but those things don't ultimately define me. However, I do need to treat them in a responsible way. There's no stigma. There's no stigma for that for me.
Yeah, I don't take it on I'm not allowed to take it on weekends, right? I can only take it throughout the week. So, like I said, it's not something that he's like,
because it's shot o'clock on the weekend, and that don't go well.
No, not even necessarily, shot o'clock. It's like he doesn't want me to fully dependent on it, because I'm not working on the weekends, right? I'm not working my 8-hour job that's driving some stress levels. I do my homework on Sundays, but a lot of times I do it out the week. You guys know that. And then, other things, handling friends, doing all the other things. It's mainly, working out. Mainly my issues are throughout the week. It's not the weekend. So it's controlled, and my medicine is controlled. And he knows, like, I can't go to him and be like, oh, I need a refill on Adderall. He'll be like, nah, 5, 10, 15, 20, it's too early. You're not going to happen. You know what I mean? So,
that's why you don't need all this other energy in your life. What we just talked about.
Oh, like being in the know, I have to know again. Remember ADHD? I got to know what's outside my door because I don't like surprises, right?
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't work well. Like I don't like unorganized chaos. It doesn't I don't do well in those situations.
Yeah. Well, this show took a turn.
I know we went
for you to
right. Well, I feel like and it's a good thing because as Marie says, the Black community, we need to be more open about talking about it, but not also having a safe place, a psychological environment that's safe that allows us to be who we are and not to be ridiculed in the sense of where it demeans us, but actually give some point of levity. And I think as a Black community, we do need to be more open to this. As I am, I'm open to it. I am just on the other end of it too, where I'm like, okay, let's do everything we can before the medicine comes into place.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of the stuff, just diagnosing some unrealized traumas can just be the cure-all to all of it. And so, so it's good to be able to hash this out in an environment that is safe for you to be to get those things out.
Thank you. Also, you got to remember a lot of these doctors, they look at how
it's not gonna stop. No, it's not gonna stop my jokes.
I know,
but
I'm just saying you got to think these doctors, they're looked at how much they prescribe this medicine, right? They can
not look at, they get bonused on how much medicine they prescribe.
A lot. I mean, physician assistants are a little bit different, right? To me, I think they're a little bit more knowledgeable and easier to speak to, right?
That's a good point.
Also, like a lot of like Costco does not play games. They'll be like, your doctor, he called it in, but you got to wait 25 more minutes from the last time you picked it up at 4:45. You know, you can't pick it up at 3:45. So a lot of times they're being monitored. I'm being monitored. They're being monitored, and they don't want to lose their license, right? So that plays a factor. Now, a doctor, that's a little bit different. They might receive a bonus from that, but a physician assistant is a little bit different. In my opinion, to me, similar to a nurse practitioner.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, I can definitely talk about this more because it is something that I've been dealing with for years, and finally kind of took the courage to actually speak to someone versus, after I had a mental episode and all of those things.
So what made you bring this out tonight? I'm just confused. I'm like,
we were talking about the Tylenol and autism and how people are just prescribed medicine, and in the Black community growing up, we didn't know that there's different illnesses that were happening. We weren't educated in that. We were just prescribed Ritalin for everything.
Right, but they must have took Tylenol off the watch list, man. I can remember in the early '80s when they had the Tylenol scare about being contaminated or laced with certain things, man, a certain lot number. That thing came around like every 10 years. And I remember in the 80s, and then I remember in the mid 90s, that's my internet acting up. No, that's my internet acting up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a booster to be out here. But I just remember Tylenol always being the subject of something bad.
I mean, next is gonna be ginger ale. We really gonna die. We gonna die.
Well, not us in the South. Let me tell you something.
It is bad. You got that high
when I'm
corn syrup in there.
I mean, how our grandmas talk about that ginger ale gonna be next. That's gonna be the reason.
You got that high fructose corn syrup in there. It's already bad.
Lord.
I think you never know what's akin to Alzheimer's. Like I said, not Alzheimer's, but Autism. Yeah. See, I'm forgetting that. So I got this the autism. It's the Alzheimer's. It could be. You never know. It could be. I think it's in the food. I don't think it's in the medicine. I think it's in the food, and I think it's in our environment. I think those are the two links. Now I can't prove it. I just know that it's true.
So autism wasn't introduced around the early 1900s. Tylenol wasn't used until around 1950s.
Ain't that's it? Now how Tylenol? I told you Tylenol catching the straight. I told you.
Better
I
buy
think,
some time.
I think it's our water. I think it's the water. I think it's the
I
air.
think the Trump administration. I think the adjacent company from Johnson and Johnson. Somebody pissed the Trump administration off, and now they're going after them.
That could be true. I don't know, but
Because if autism was introduced in the early 1900s and Tylenol didn't come to the 50s, sometimes sometimes you don't have to add the one and the one if you know there's a two at the end.
well, RFK Jr. hasn't been the most reliable, nor the most honest, especially when it comes to Black people.
Well, he has an agenda. He has an agenda. Nobody can tell me that you don't do. There's an agenda. I don't know if it's the population control, but they're after anything that you can to kill humans. They are exasperating it by throwing fuel on the fire. Anything that can take us out, they're like, you know what? You don't need to get your kids vaccinated. That does not make sense to me.
Oh,
Your
Leon.
kids, like his kids vaccinated, but you don't even vaccinate yours.
Leon feels some type of way. On the next episode of Impel for podcast, we're going to talk about vaccinations and.
No, we ain't talking about it. We ain't gonna go to no talk about vaccination no more. No, we ain't talking about that no more.
You're gonna get Leon started, but
Leon got vaccinations in him, right? Like to this day.
Man, hey, them things look like they say vaccination. I'm just say this is gonna be it. Back then we didn't have as many as they doing giving kids now. Them numbers are totally different.
Yeah, but the only thing that they're talking
that's
about.
That's it, man. That's it. Ain't talking about that no more. We ain't talking about that no more.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I think this has been great. This has been
great. Because of the vaccinations, we don't have the MMR and breakouts. That's why.
Man, there you have it for another episode of the MPL Fort Podcast. I'm your host, Leon. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Go to MPLFortMerch.com, MPLFortMerch.com. Remember, seize the opportunity to grasp your dreams. Peace.
Yes.